Thank you very much. Well, over the years, I've been involved in a number of restoration projects with our local Cocalico Creek Watershed Association, the Borough of Ephrata, and also with the Conservation District. And the district has a foundation and a clean water consortium. So there are many aspects, but by no way am I an expert. The MS4 program started for Ephrata Borough, and by the way, these are my perspectives and not necessarily that of the Borough of Ephrata. Started back in 2003 with our first annual report, and the program's adapted and matured over the years to address the requirements presented in the pollution plans that we submitted to the maximum extent practical. So that's about 18 years, plus or minus. We've done all the things we were supposed to, but we learned a few things. We've had some excellent consultants along the way, but we've learned that the consultants do desktop work. It really takes in the field work. And if you see our plan here, we're about a 4 square mile Ephrata Borough municipality. That's a little different than a township, a lot different than the turnpike. And we look at the watershed in addition to our little 4 square mile area, because our watershed is about 61 square mile. We have a dam that collects water in the Cocalico Creek, and we end up drinking that water after we clean it up a little bit. So we have interests in our 10 surrounding municipalities, both above and below us. And the local watershed group developed a memorandum of understanding a couple years ago when I was president. And that has helped coordinate our programs from a base level. You know, when you start out, Jamie mentioned about your PRP plan, and if I could show you our PRP plan, it's about 2 to 3 inches thick, mainly maps. But that plan dictated the 3 areas here, one here, and this great big area there.
Jay, I'm going to interrupt real quick and jump in. I'm not sure. Yeah, the map is small for us. Can you enlarge that for us, please? We're seeing just about a third of your screen with the map on the right.
Oh, okay.
But we see your cursor going over something, so I think it may look bigger on your own screen than it does for us. Maybe you need to share a different screen capture.
Okay, that I don't know how to do. Thank you for letting me know that, because I can't see what you all are seeing.
No problem.
Well, let me go to this. How does this look? This is, we need to clearly understand the problem or the solution will not be clear. Can you see all that verbiage?
No, let's see. Adriana, can you walk him through?
Yeah. So Jay, why don't we, on the upper right-hand corner next to the leave button is that share content. And I think right now you're only sharing just your folder. So open up whatever file you want to share, and then go to that share content and choose it. There should be a list of items, like an icon. So if there's a map, then choose that map that you wanted to share. So click on that share, share content, and then perfect. And then go ahead and enlarge it a little bit more so it takes up more of your screen so that folks can see it. There. Yep, keep going a little bit more. Okay.
And how do you move it from side to side? It seems to be locked. Ah, like that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I think we're seeing what we need to. Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is Ephrata's area, and I'm sure you all have maps. It has been a great asset to us to have our own GIS mapping within the borough that actually was developed maybe 10, 15 years ago. It started out with our water system, and then our wastewater system, and then when MS4 came along, we added that. If you're not having the resources in your municipality, there are resources out there. CS Datum has an awesome thing. but I'm sure your engineer can provide something, because this was done through our local engineering firm, and they helped set up the base system, and then we went from there. But why do I share all this? Because we can actually, well, no, I guess I can't. I apologize, this is new for me to present at this this forum type of presentation.
So Jay, if there's something else you want to present, that's fine. You can switch to a bunch of different screens. So you go back up to that, the square with the arrow to stop sharing, and then pick the next item you want to share. So you go up to the top right of the screen where actually, next to the leave button, if that's so that you can pick did you want to pick something on here or the next file? So just if it's open, then you'll just choose it once you hit the share screen.
I don't see it on here.
So do you have to make sure the file is open on your screen? Is that it?
I don't know.
What we see is we need to clearly understand the problem.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and then go ahead and enlarge it. So in your bottom right, you have the, yes, exactly. You make it a little bit bigger so folks can read it. So, oh, probably want to reshare it. It disappeared. So you'll need to go back up to that share content button that's next to the leave button. Okay, and then I would just make the magnification more. So in the bottom right of your Word document, hit that plus button to make it larger on the screen. So you'll need to, I think it unshared, so you'll need to go back up and click the share content button again. That's up next to the leave button.
Actually, the buttons are in different locations than what you're describing. They're down in the center of the page, and sometimes they show up at the bottom of the page, and sometimes they don't.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the button that has a square and an arrow.
No.
That's the share button so that you can share your screen so we can see the content. Yes. So now we see your document. I was just hoping that you could enlarge it. Right now, I think.
That's not the one I want.
Oh, okay. All right. So you'll need to go back up to the stop sharing and pick the document that you want to share. Yes.
I apologize for this.
It's all right. That looks good. Thank you.
Okay, we have stormwater group in the borough that meets every other month, and it involves our water, wastewater, engineering, and our public works operations management. And as was said with the Turnpike session, if you were in there, having views from different perspectives really gives us a more holistic view of where we need to go and what we need to do. Because let's say the water plant is doing a project, and how does that impact wastewater? Well, if they dump it to us, it does. But we also have the interactions between the water and the stormwater, and that does affect us all. So we try to coordinate things. The volunteers outside. Does anyone in your group volunteer? Well, we make our connections by enhancing these perspectives by looking at others. And the common thread is water. We have source water protection plan, we have street reconstruction projects, utility repairs, and all these interact with our MS4. So just because one department is doing a project, it really interacts with all the other departments. And as I said earlier, our GIS database really documents and coordinates all that we do, that anyone from any department can look on there and see what we're doing. Again, I mentioned our watershed association has 10 municipalities, and actually it was only a one-pager that got us together back, 10 years ago when we did our PRP and started getting this interaction. Then when we needed to do something, we could do it very affordably. Now, some of the lawyers probably don't like that. But again, if you can get your coordination at a low level, you know, the guys in the field, the road crew from one department can work with the road crew from another municipality. That's where we get the easiest interaction. And our MS4 requirements have increased in complexity, and as they did, we eventually saw the need, if we would get some outside consulting help, that would really help us. Because again, I feel for you guys out in the township. You're doing everything. Well, we in the borough here are doing everything. I was working on biosolids annual reports, industrial waste pretreatment, a little bit of stormwater, and this thing came up and I thought, yeah, maybe I could help out. But as you can see, I'm not real prepared because I haven't spent the time, maybe an hour a day, where our first presenter, she's spending 6 hours a day. So I really feel for you folks. Ask your neighbors and see what they're doing, and we can all help one another out. Lancaster County, it's a big thing. We probably have the heaviest lift of all the counties in the Commonwealth. And that kind of puts some economic pressures on us. They're directing the focus to Lancaster County. Hey, how are you going to reduce that 20% of what's going across the Mason-Dixon line down into the Bay? Well, we're struggling, but we've got a program. We're working together with the partners, the Lancaster County groups, collaborating, the municipalities, and it's benefiting us the whole wide watershed. But stay connected and be part of the solution. And this last term, we need to clearly understand the problem, or the solution will not be clear. Where I came up with that was I was asked to find where foam's coming in the creek. And I walked from here way up to West Calico Township, where Carolyn is up there. And I saw, well, foam comes from everywhere. But that wasn't the problem. The question was not why was there foam in the creek. The question should have been, why could you see the foam? I encourage you public works guys and engineers, all of us, do we really understand what we're looking at? The problem wasn't the foam. The problem was, why could you see the foam? Well, it hadn't rained for a couple days. The creek was still brown. That's why you could see the foam. So I realized the question isn't, why is the creek have foam in it? The question should have been, why is the stream brown? And if you don't clearly understand the problem, that solution in the stream will not be clear. So if you go out and see a muddy stream, you've got a problem. What is the problem? That's what we need to find. Now, I kind of look at it as a practical kind of way. I go out and I look, and I spend a lot of time out looking. And that's when we made the changes for our PRP plan and realized what the engineers had suggested wasn't going to really fix our problem, because there's a couple small sentences in your permit that says, when you do your PRP, what do you actually remove? Well, we looked closely at our PRP and it was great. They had this revolutionary little box, big box in it that's supposed to filter all the water that comes through it before it goes to the creek. It catches the grit, the dirt, the leaves, the trash. That sounds great. But when we actually went out in the field and looked at our stream and did some of our recent stormwater effluent and influent sampling, we have a gross run area that this box that was going to be installed only did a small portion of it. It just caught the municipal area that drains from roofs and streets. Well, that's not where all this dirt was coming from, because through our testing, visual testing, we didn't spend any money, we just looked, and it looked dirty going in at the upper end, but at the lower end, it came out and it was cleaner. Now, how could that be? Well, where this box was supposed to go in, there was water coming through there, and that was diluting our muddy water coming in and making it clean. So we realized that what the engineer has proposed, excellent idea, really wouldn't work in this situation. So that's when we decided that we should make a change. And there were two areas within our operation that saw that. The guys in the field and myself. I did the testing, visual inspections. They were out there doing inspections. And when we realized that our PRP, the way it was currently structured, would not meet the maximum extent practical, it really wasn't practical. So that's when we made our adjustment. So I hope that's helpful to you. Are there any questions? That's the memo here that we presented to our management, and I guess I should make it larger so you can see it.
Jay, this is Kelly. So I have a question. When you talked about the box that wouldn't be the appropriate solution, can you describe what was done then in lieu of the engineer's recommendation?
That will be done in the next presentation.
Aha, so this is a good cliffhanger for us.
Yes. What we did is a Banks study, and I can't recall what Banks stands for. Well, there it is. Gross Run Banks study we did in 2019. That verified that we do have opportunities in the gross run in the daylighted section. And let's see, if I go back to our map, might be a problem. Okay, here's.
So Jay, you'll first need to stop sharing this and then go back to share the map.
Okay. Okay, if you see the map, these large green area, and then this gray area is where, down at the bottom here, where my little cursor is at X, that's where the box was going to be. However, if I can move this up, I don't have the area shown on here, but maybe I can do it with my cursor. From back here, you see where my cursor is here, this area goes all the way out into the township and around and off the map and back down in. This is the gross run. And you can see our green areas would be flowing down in, and then the blue stream, there's a pond here which is filled in, and this blue area is a stream. But yet from here down to the Cocalico is in a box culvert. Well, have you ever seen dirt erode in a box culvert? But from where this box culvert starts upstream is all open, and it's trenched, and it's not a stream, it's a drainage ditch. So if we take this drainage ditch and return it to its stream quality, then we will be able to clean up the main discharge that goes into the Cocalico Creek from the borough. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it's hard to not see with audience participation.
This is why we're all supposed to be using our emoticons for you.
And I can't see those, so let's see. Here are our PRPs that were listed, and vegetative swales, infiltration facility, wet ponds, excellent BMPs. But in a developed municipal area, sometimes that's hard to fit those in and get the benefit that you think you're going to get. And that's why we switched to gross run, because we saw that that was really where the dirt was heading to the stream. And of course, it has the pollutants that will be removed. And fortunately, this was in our original PRP, so this was a minor modification for us, and we were able to switch from the 3 smaller BMPs to this 1 larger BMP. And yes, it'll cost a little more, but I think it is going to give the result, because putting in a bioswale or a vegetated swale in a floodplain doesn't really help remove anything during flood. In fact, it gets flooded and becomes inoperable. So that's another reason we changed BMPs. And again, excellent engineering report. It gave us the basic numbers that we really needed. We just did a little refining and tweaking, and there's a difference between the desktop to what's occurring in the field. And we went in the field and then made our changes.
Jay, can you talk about the time frame between the development of the original PRP and sort of when that decision was made to do the change? Like, how much time lapsed between the desktop analysis and when you and the folks in the field made the determination it wasn't going to be adequate?
Well, in June of 2017 was when our plan was developed and finished, and then it would probably be in another year or 2 that we realized, as we did additional field work and saw and had some preliminary findings, rather than sample every outfall, the way the borough is structured, it made more sense to look what was coming in the borough, a few spots in the borough, and what was leaving the borough. And actually, the water in the Cocalico Creek appears cleaner when it leaves the borough than before it comes into the borough, which kind of shocked us, because we have a lot of water that leaves our hardscape. Whereas in a township, you have a lot of softscape and a lot of trenches that are bringing in water, and they're a little more dirtier than what a pipe can bring in clean water. Well, that's what we found within our borough, that our pipes were clean. The streets were clean relatively. Yeah, you get a little grit, a little sand, little silt, little lead, little mercury, whatever's coming off your hardscape. But a lot of the pollutants are coming from the softscape, the yards. Now, of course, we have the salt this time of year, so that's an issue. But we've regulated our dispensing of that through the speed of the truck determines how fast it comes out the back, and that made a big difference. So we automated some of our, rather than when you stop at a stop sign, you just don't keep spinning the salt spinner. It actually stops until you take off again. So we've done things in-house to clean that up. But we saw that what we were doing really wasn't cleaning up the stream. We'd get rocks and gravel on the street and we'd go shovel them up. And I said to the guys, well, wait a minute, where are the rocks and gravel coming from? Oh, that's from up in the mountain. I said, well, let's go up in the mountain and fix the source of the problem. And if we fix the source, then we'll see that the problem down in our system will disappear. So I would encourage all of you to find the source of your problem. And that's kind of what I learned when I went from the creek, from here up to West Cocalico, to Carolyn's area. I saw that the problem wasn't the foam, it was the mud. And where's the mud come from? The sloughing banks. There's actually more sloughing that occurs in the wintertime sometimes than in the summer from the freeze-thaw cycles. And I observed that when I was preparing to submit for a grant for DEP. I'm standing there taking my notes, taking pictures, and I'm hearing this plop, plop, plop. Oh, wait, it's not raining. The stream's low, but the grass that I was looking at, the clods of dirt along the stream had disappeared. Where were they? Oh, that's where the noise is coming from. So we need to take the time and be observant, but we don't have the time to observe. Like I didn't have the time to prepare this outline, but I made some time. So I encourage those in the township where you are multitasking, just like us in the borough, we're multitasking, to get some help and find those in your group that have a passion for this type of work, and they will go out and find the answers for you. Let's see if there's something else I can share here. Did that.
Jay, I have another question for you. This is Kelly again.
Yes,
so
please.
when the determination was made that the switching would happen in terms of the approach, did you take this back to the group that meets on, I think you said it was a monthly basis? And, you know, was there some convincing of folks that you had to do to make this change to the PRP?
Actually, that's where the change occurred. When we were in our group, someone said, well, hey, you know, I'm seeing over here would make a bigger difference. And then I concurred, yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. And as we talked amongst one another, we kind of agreed in our group that this would be a better solution to the problem, to clean up the solution. So our water would be cleaner. But how are we going to convince those above us to make the shift in financing? So that's where this memo was prepared that I shared earlier. Let me see if I can share it again. Okay, what do I have to do next?
Jay, this is Adriana. You should be able to hit that share button and then navigate to the document that you want to share.
Yep, I just had to find the share button.
Oh, okay.
And find the document. And then get it to the right size.
Yep, you got it. Thank you.
Okay. So, to our manager, our plan from 18 to 23. Gross run, the issue was the bank's assessment told us that we could get the opportunity that we needed from this one project to actually make a difference in our pollution reduction. Then we were concerned, would DEP approve it? So we actually went up to DEP, had a meeting with them, and explained to them what we were going to do, why we were going to do it, and they concurred graciously. They said, well, it's in your plan. This is a minor modification. There's no problem with making the adjustment. So what we learned from that was that when you do plans, make sure they're broad enough and have some language in there that allows you to make some adjustments. In this case, we actually had this project. Our engineer was very helpful in including this in the original plan so that it was easy for us to make that change. Any other questions?
I feel like we've gathered a lot of good advice. I mean, it sounds like the idea is, you know, go forth and put together a plan, but be ready to do adaptive management based on field observations.
That is correct. And again, be in contact with your neighboring municipalities. I know Carolyn called me the other week, emailed me, hey, I have another farmer interested, because we know our biggest reductions can be done in the ag community, not because they're the source, but because that is the most economical area to do your restoration. She's up in the headwaters, and when you want to shake the fruit off the tree, you can't grab the stump and shake it, but if you go up into the branches where they're smaller and shake it, the fruit falls. Well, it's easier falling fruit up in West Cocalico Township than it is in Ephrata Borough. But our MS4 permit required us to stay within our urbanized area. And again, I'll talk tomorrow that our first project was done in Ephrata Township because our last permit didn't say we had to do it within our MS4. It just said you had to do something, and it wasn't restrictive. We didn't know, DEP didn't know, but again, thanks to DEP's wisdom, they said, no, you have to work in your municipality. So that forced us to take our focus back to our municipality, and we found, whoop, hey, we have a little housekeeping that we need to do, not only with our operations, but with the streams that we have within our municipality. And that has focused us on Gross Run, which actually has been a blessing because that's a big source of pollutant that the borough discharges into the stream. So again, sometimes those roadblocks can be a benefit because if you're going down the road and it's blocked and the bridge is out and you ignore it, you can have a little problem when you get to the bridge. So thank you, DEP, and thank you, EPA, for giving us a permit that's very difficult because it doesn't spell out particulars. It's general, it's verbiage that says do what you can and do it to your best ability. And some municipalities can do more than others, and it's descriptive rather than numerical. And that has been a blessing. Another blessing that Ephrata has had was two key individuals. One we had on staff and one was from a consultant, and they came from California. Well, you've heard the saying, things begin in California and head east. Well, those two individuals came from California and they knew all about MS4, and they put us 10, 15 years ahead of what we were doing. That was huge. So again, if you know someone from California, get them on your staff and they will help show you where we need to be because they've been there already. That was a huge difference in Ephrata's program. So thanks, Mike and Paul, if you're out there listening.